yourself. You can enter anyone in your, or, a member of the salon, or if you've been to a salon or you know of a salon, feel free to enter that way. To get more information on that, you're going to hear me say this a lot, go to probeauty.org/Naha. The other category, and it involves our special guest tonight that I'm not going to give away just yet, is for the Educator of the Year. And we are excited to announce, and we put those nominations out a couple weeks ago. They still continue. You can still keep nominating. I want you to keep in mind that nomination, there's a few steps you still got to do. So if you've got that response that you've been nominated, it's not over yet. So make sure you follow those directions. Should have been in the email you received, but if not, where am I going to find what to do next? You got it. probeauty.org/Naha. And congratulations to all the nominees. I can't wait to see who become our finalists for Educator of the Year. We're also excited that our next show will be 7-time nominee makeup artist winner, or I think it was the winner, announced 7-time nominee makeup artist. Someone will text me, nominee, not winner. David Manorich will be joining us on October 7th. Do not underestimate the power of makeup in any given shoot. It's so important. Then on October 21st, we have Scott Buchanan, legendary salon owner of Scott J Salons in New York City, has done some incredible philanthropic things with his salon. Just couldn't be more proud to call this guy a friend, a fellow member of PBA. We're just so proud of this guy and so happy that he's going to join us to talk more about that salon category and how to build culture within your salon and within your community. And of course, where are we going to go to find out more about that? probeauty.org/Naha. For those of you who are creating collections, or those of you who are taking advantage of the 1-year only remix program, where you can enter work that you created in the past or that you've submitted in the past, as long as it has been nominated. For those of you who are submitting, keep this date, write it down, type it down, text it, burn it onto the wall, whatever you got to do. Don't burn it into the wall. That entry closes on November 18th, and I don't see that moving. As you know, it's been a moving goalpost because of the situation in the world right now, but currently, and we don't expect it to change, November 18th. If you don't get it in by midnight on November 18th, then you will miss your window. So get those in. Where are we going to submit? Where are we going to do everything? probeauty.org/Naha. So now let's get on to our incredible guest today. Our guest has been changing the industry one hairdresser at a time his entire life. Of course, that's grown into millions of hairdressers now. But whether it's a face-to-face interaction, whether he's reaching out to people on a main stage at hair shows, really globally, or whether it's his millions of followers through social media, this man, he just has a way of teaching that brings out the best in all of us. I think most of us will always remember the first time we saw him, whether it was online or YouTube or Facebook or in a show, and we would all agree that he has had an impact on our life. He was the 2017, just a couple years ago, Lifetime Achievement Award winner for Naha. And that is not an honor we give out every year. And just in case people have forgotten this award, past winners include Paul Mitchell. Who's that? Vidal Sassoon. Ever heard of him? Irvin Rusk, Robert Labetta, Horst, like the creator of Aveda, Michael Gordon, the creator of Bumble Bumble. I mean, these are incredible artists, and our very own Vivian McKender, who was here just a couple of weeks ago on this show. So that is no small feat, and that is just a small sample of who has won that honor. He is also the 2020, currently this year, the IHA International Hair Influencer of the Year. I counted up all his nominations and awards, and I think it's about 30 globally, which is crazy. I hope he has a beautiful display case for that. And what excites me the most is that this man has been working on, teaching hair, simplifying hair, coming out into all of our living rooms, that most of us just started doing this year. And so he really set the pace for what we're all doing in the digital world. Please put your cyber hands together and join me in welcoming our guest today, Mr. Sam Villa. Yay! Welcome, Sam.
Wow, Michael, what an introduction. Thank you so much, my friend. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with Naha and the PBA, but I just want to thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, such a pleasure. My God, I could have gone on for the whole hour. But for now, let's have a toast, since these are
Yeah,
fireside chats, to the incredible success you've been having in your life and what you are going to be able to share with us today.
thank you, my friend. Appreciate that.
Mm, perfect. And make sure you keep the eye contact, right? It's a little harder. I'm so superstitious about that. So, Sam, let's get right into it. Before we get into all the education stuff, what I'd like to know first is, I mean, you probably could have done a bunch of things. Why did you get into the hairdressing industry? What made you become a hairdresser?
I grew up in my dad's barbershop, and Michael, I absolutely hated it. I shined the shoes and I swept the hair and told myself I'm never going to do what dad does. But I was going to college. I was a junior in college playing volleyball, phys ed major. Went home one weekend and said, I want to go to beauty school. My mom's jaw dropped. My dad was like, what? He's clapping underneath the table. And I said, yeah, I'll go back to school if it doesn't work out. My mom said, okay, deal, but you have to be responsible paying for your own way back in your last year and finish. So
Yeah.
off to beauty school I went, and that's how it started. Basically, was I just made a decision to do what my dad was, but I didn't want to go to barber school. I went to cosmetology school.
Okay, not well, and we're grateful you did, because my God, some of the upstyles you have created, I think might have never happened if not for you being a cosmetologist.
Well,
So
it was a great journey. I mean, in school, I mean, I got to tell you, I was all, athlete trying to do
yeah,
hair. My hands weren't working. And I'll never forget one day my teacher came up to me and said, hey, Sam, your rollers are falling out underneath the dryer. You might want to go check them, and you might want to think about doing something else. So
oh no.
that kind of smacked me in the face at that time.
I got a little scared when I got to in my state board examination, and it looked sort of somewhere between a duck and a platypus that I had created. And I'll never forget, she walked up to me and she goes, "What's that?" And I said, "I'm going to file it down." And she goes, "Move on to the next operation."
I love it.
I was like, "Oh, I'm screwed." I passed.
I know. And back in my days, you had to wait forever. So I was stressed for a month thinking,
Oh yeah.
am I gonna pass?
Yeah.
But school was a great journey. It really was. I enjoyed beauty school.
So I'm now going to ask you, what was the moment you decided to educate? It sounds like you had a good, or not, a hard time in school. What was that tipping point where you thought, I want to be an educator?
Along comes my dad. And he said, let's go to a hair, called me up, said, what are you doing on Sunday? I said, Dad, I'm not doing anything. I can't afford to do anything. He said, well, let's go to a hair show. I said, what's that? He goes, oh, that's where you go and you learn the latest things and trends and techniques and things. He goes, it's something you need to know about. I said, okay. My dad was a pretty smart guy, Michael, and he picked me up early in the morning on the way there to San Francisco in the city. I said, who are we going to see? He said, we're going to see Vidal Sassoon. Now, Michael, this was 1976, going to beauty school. Imagine my dad had us in line up front. He was smart, got there early, sat in the second row, and I watched Vidal, Christopher Broker, Roger Thompson, Alan Benfield Bush. Watch these guys take these Asian women with long hair and just melt it. And I was on the edge of my seat. I said, Dad, I want to do that. He said, do what? I said, I want to be up there someday and do that. He said, eyes here, Samuel-san. And I know my dad. He's like, that's all ego and no money. Prove to me that you can do it with no ego, and prove to me that you can support yourself and make some money. He goes, if you can figure that out and do that, then go for it. But until then, learn what you need to learn so that you can survive and get your license. But that's where it really started, where I said, I want to do that. And, Michael, I went back to school with intent and purpose, not necessarily a goal, but I told myself, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. This roller's not going anywhere. And that's where it started.
I love it. Oh yeah, those darn rollers. I have to admit, I had a couple extra mannequins that I kept in the cabinet that were fiercely wrapped, and got a couple wet downs to get some of my operations. Hopefully my teacher's not watching.
I hope not. Yes.
So so your dad, you took you to and my God, to see a show like that now. Can
Yes.
you
Right.
imagine? But so
Amazing.
then you had your purpose to get there. And then what was the first education thing you did?
Oh gosh, I'll never forget that. You mentioned the name already. It
Oh,
was, I always took every educational opportunity I could, meaning that if somebody wanted to learn something in the salon I worked at after school, I would teach them. I'd go to a show, come back and share with everybody. I just loved it, doing that. But I'll
yeah.
never forget, a lady came in, she booked an appointment, and she said, I'm Sharon Hayashi, and I heard about you. And she told me this after she had gotten her hair cut. She goes, I like your work. I like the way you communicate. She goes, would you like to work for us as an artist? I said, sure. And I'll never forget my very first show, Michael. I followed Paul Mitchell himself.
Wow.
Yes, on a main stage. And I thought,
No
oh,
pressure.
it's Paul Mitchell. I'm like, wow. And I'll never forget this. That moment I went up there, I became someone else, meaning I became the wrong person. I tried to be somebody else I wasn't. And when I got off stage, my mentor at the time said, Sam, what are you doing? He goes, you have to remember what got you here. He goes,
Yeah.
you just went up there and you just tried to be Paul Mitchell. You're not Paul Mitchell. You have to rely on what you know and do the best. Don't try to be somebody you're not. So that was really one of the things. You know how you fall down? Sometimes you
Yeah.
fall down for a reason because there's something down there that you got to pick up.
Yeah.
So it was that moment when I realized, you know what? I just got to trust in me, believe in me, and what I have to say and what I'm doing is for the good. And
Yeah.
forward.
That's incredible. And such a full circle, right? Like
Oh God, yeah.
the very first honoree to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, and then you, the most recent. Like that had to be a pretty incredible moment, no?
It really was. God, there's been so many incredible moments, some fun moments, some incredible moments. But I think the one thing is that what creates these credible moments is the fact that, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a platform artist. But most importantly, what I wanted to do was be a teacher. I remember when I first started out, I was avant-garde. I was, trying to do all that and trying to be cool and do all that. And I realized and be a showman at these shows.
Yeah.
I realized, you know what? I want to back up and brand myself as a teacher. I don't, I'll pull the show stuff out when I need to, but I want to brand myself as a teacher in the industry.
Yeah. God, that's so smart. So in all this, do you have a favorite educator?
Oh God.
You
You
just
know,
get to choose one. Okay,
it's,
three.
it's Martin Parsons. That's an easy question. It's Martin
So
Parsons. Now,
good.
let me tell you why Martin Parsons. Because every time I walked away from a Martin Parsons presentation, I walked away with tons of information, tons of knowledge, tons of tricks, if you will.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I had a fun time.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about Martin was, gosh, now that's hard to do, to really be a true educator and have a nice, good moment of sense of humor at the right time and knowing what sense of humor to have.
Yeah.
He was a master. He was a master. And he was my favorite, my all-time favorite would be Martin. And there's lots, you're right, there's lots, but all-time favorite, Martin Parsons.
I have a quote from you. Sharing is the greatest gift we can give one another to help each other grow and prosper. We all need to pay it forward. I always want to upgrade the industry by respecting and supporting one another. What my question was, what does education mean to you? But there's so much right there as I read more about you. It's such a great quote.
Well, I think what I want to share with educators out there, and listen, guys, I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I'm just going to share with you what I believe. And what I believe is that when you make a decision to be an educator and you make a decision to be a teacher, because as an educator, you're a teacher, you're making a decision to become a leader. So I think you have to ask yourself, do you choose to be a leader? How do you choose to lead? Because I think, as an educator, you're meant to be a river, not a reservoir.
Ooh.
So you've got to let the information flow and you've got to be willing to give it and you've got to be willing to share it. what bothers me is they hold up a reservoir. And what I mean by that, well, that's my technique. None of the techniques I teach, Michael, are mine. They're all things. I'm a teacher. I research. I research. I'm not an inventor. I don't, I research. But here's what I really believe that I have is that I can take something and make you understand it. I can take something and make it simple. I really believe that in today's world, Michael, simplicity is today's brilliance.
Yeah.
So I think, as an educator, you have to be willing to share. You have a teacher, you take a person's hand, you open their mind, and you touch their heart.
Yeah.
Now, if you can hit those three pressure points, I think, that's being a true teacher. That's being a true learner. I'm still learning. I still have a lot to learn. But it's about, creating an experience and making people understand that investment in education is an investment in their future. And that's why, I encourage people to enter Naha. You have to enter Naha. That's an educational experience that you will never forget because of the discoveries that you're going to have, the learning experiences you're going to have, and the creative boundaries you're going to open up. That alone is an award itself. Now, if you win, fantastic. Yeah. But I know people that have entered, 15, Michael, as you do, 15, 20 times and never won. But they are fantastic hairdressers. Fantastic hairdressers.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And thank you for sharing, because we get that question all the time. It can be expensive to produce a shoot and, makeup and wardrobe and hair and assistants. And is it worth it? And so I think what you're saying right there is it is worth it. You're learning, you're growing.
Yeah, I think, as you have to rely on the rock of emotion, not the shifting sand of emotion. Especially when you enter those competitions, don't let the emotion get in the way. Don't let the win get in the way. I would suggest that you approach it with an attitude where it's the other side of the coin. And that is, okay, I'm going to have some fun and I'm going to discover things. Here's my mood board. Now let's go for it. But be willing to make a left, make a right, back up, put it in fifth gear if you have to. I think that's what creative juices flow. People tend to think that being creative is being weird. Michael, if you start to think about it, anybody can be weird,
Exactly.
Anybody
throw a kilt on, you're gonna rock it.
but I think being creative is taking the things that you see as complicated and making them simple. That's when the creative juices flow out of people, and everybody's got it. Everybody's got those creative juices.
I agree. Well, it's so nice that you have that kind of faith as your approach, to your students. Since we touched on Naha, I was going to ask this later. You actually, in 1999, were a finalist for the North American Hairdressing Awards in a classic category. It's like,
I can't believe you found that.
I'm a digger. Of course, I dug in the wrong place for poor Tabitha Coffee, but there is such a thing as fake news. Hello, that's like old school, the beginning, dude.
That's right.
How much is not?
Michael, I'm almost in tears you bringing that up because I'll never forget when I got the notice in the mail that I made the finals. I'm like, what? I was like, wow. Yeah, 1999. That's fantastic.
91. Yeah. So how is it? Yeah, cheers. We need a cheers to that.
1999.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, how have Naha? How has it changed in all these years for you?
I think the quality of work that you see, Michael, that's number one. I mean, I see some of this youth. There is so much hidden talent out there. Yeah. I mean, so much hidden talent, especially with the youth. So that's what I love about Naha is the fact that you think about this. Every time I go to Naha, people go, "Well, who's that?
Yeah,
who's that? Who's that?" Well, I've never heard of this person before. That's what I love about Naha. You don't have to be somebody to enter. You don't have to be somebody to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's so huge about it. And I think that, Naha has opened up some doors. Who was I was talking to? Michelle O'Connor. I had her on my,
she's great.
I love her.
She's been on our show as well.
And we were talking about it Tuesday about Naha. And she was saying how it's what I asked her, people out there, were there on listening because they want in Naha, and they were learning some things from her. And I asked her, so what advice would you give them out there in terms of, what has it done for you? What can it do? And she said, what has it done for me? She goes, it's the discoveries, it's the doors and the opportunities it's opened. So if you're looking for doors and you're looking for opportunities, then you really have to discover Naha and not be afraid of an attitude of, I've got to win, have an attitude of joy that you entered. I think that's an achievement in itself.
It is so important. So I have a question for you, because when and like you said, you're a teacher, you're not necessarily creating all this stuff, but you take things that look like climbing Mount Everest and you give these super simple ways of doing it. Can you break that down a little more? Because I had a friend call me and she's like, ask him how he does that. How does he take these impossible things and turn them into 3-minute, here it is.
Well, let me break it down for you. I'm going to show you something I'm working on right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to break haircuts down in these lives and make them more simple for people to understand. So if you see a look, what you need to do is just break it down in like a puzzle, break it down in pieces, and then try to put the puzzle back together. But don't follow the directions, put it together with the way you think it should be put together. And that's when you discover things. So for example, let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, now you're going to think, oh my gosh, Sam, you are weird.
Well, we're okay with weird around here.
Yeah, we are. So here's imagine this, Michael. I'm teaching you a haircut and I'm showing you step 1, and it's in the nape area. And it's in the nape area. So instead of having all this hair that you're looking at, this is what I do now. So what I've done is I've taken just the section that I'm cutting and I demo in that section.
Okay.
Then that way there, with intent and purpose, you're watching how I'm elevating this, how I'm cutting it.
Yeah.
Then I take the mannequin with the entire hair and then I go back and revisit it again and show them. Okay. And by breaking it down this way, it's working. So that's step 1 in a haircut. Then I say, okay, here's step 2. Let's move up higher into the back area, but let's take a zigzag section.
Okay.
Now let's elevate this and let's cut it. And then what's so cool, I go, okay, let's see. Oh, see, now you got me in teacher mode. See what happens when you get
he can't help himself.
Watch. And then what happens is you get this edge, So I'm showing people basically breaking it down step by step in a more where it's with focus, with intent and purpose, just on the area that you're talking about. Okay. So that's what I mean. When you see an up style, you break it down. You say, okay, that's up here, but what's underneath that? What do I think that's underneath that? Is it just backcombing, or is it pads? Is it cushions? Is it stuffed nylons? And you start and you figure it out. But that's how I would suggest that that you go about that in regards to finding.
That's so cool. I'm so glad we got to see in your head a little bit.
I got a party going on in the back.
Oh my God, this is awesome. So we're learning the process. We're inside the mind of Via. Advice for people who want to become educators. And folks, if you're watching and I'm a little blurry, I've got a lot of bandwidth going. We've got some protests happening on my block. So I apologize, but I hear sound is good and Sam is perfect. So I'm happy to be max headroom today. For those, we're getting a lot of comments about that. For people who want to be an educator, any advice for them?
Yeah, first of all, let me begin it by this way: is if you only knew where I came from, and what I've gone through to get where I'm at, I'm not going to go through that whole story. No, I didn't walk in snow 10 feet deep. But the idea is that what I'm trying to say is if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah. You're a human being. I'm a human being. I'm speaking to your community out there. And what I mean by that is you're a human being. I'm a human being. The only difference between you and I is that I've, number one, practiced these things and I've experienced these things. So I believe anybody can do it, but you've got to have the right desire. Like people constantly ask me, Michael, why do you do what you do? Why do you do this? And like, people at a party, you're a hairdresser? So what do you make? Why do you do that? I
Uh-huh.
go, well, let's see. I can make an audience of 10,000 people pay attention to me and you can hear a needle drop. You know what I make? I make a difference. I
Ooh,
make a difference.
that.
So it's about the
I like
desire.
that.
If you have the desire, and the desire is that people go, why do you do it, Sam? Because my desire is I choose to make hairdressers better hairdressers, period. End of story. And I've let the community and the industry push me to the top based upon the fact that my dad said, if you can help people get what they want, you will get what you want. So that's basically been my focus. And I really advise people, understand that, like I said, I meant it when I said, when you choose to be a teacher, you got to be a river. You got to be a river, man, not a reservoir. You got to give it away. And don't ever think that you know it, because as a teacher, as an educator, we must never cease to learn. As a hairdresser, we must all never cease to learn, because there's something to learn out there. I learn something every day watching videos,
Yeah.
It's always something. So I say this, focus on how you can versus why you can't, because
Yeah.
if I can do it, you can do it. It's just a matter of, success is like chasing a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it eludes you. But if you
Yeah.
focus on success on the task at hand, success will land on your shoulder. But it's all about, focus with intent and purpose, and it'll happen.
And I really think that's a common thread of our chat today is keep that intent, keep that purpose. And really, it sounds like you're saying to be yourself as well, right? Like not to just follow somebody else or to be weird, but really figure out what it is to be you and share
Yeah.
that as well.
Well, we hear that word all the time now, authentic, right? I mean,
Right. Authentic
authenticity.
self.
Yeah, right. And you know what? People go, so Sam, how do you be authentic? I say it begins in your core. It begins in your core in regards to, if you're comfortable with your own skin and you believe in what you're doing, what you're saying is for the good and for the right, and it's going to inspire and help grow the industry as a whole, then you're fine. Who cares what other people say? Because I guarantee you, if you choose to stand in front of people and do something, you're going to have tomatoes thrown at you. No matter what you think, no matter what you say, no matter how good you are, they're going to come your way.
Yeah.
My thing is that, just dodge them, let them go through you, and don't respond to them. Just, leave them alone and just continue to come from a good place. And
Yeah.
it'll happen. It comes around. It comes around.
Yeah. And I mean, we've all had to deal with the cackler, right? The person who, no matter what, they work for another big brand and you're all wrong and they've seen that before. So don't let that get you down, folks. That's what he's saying. So we got to see your like crazy alien heads there, which I think is brilliant. What are some of, and Leslie, if we could pop up some of I think I have the slide. Hopefully I did that right.
Yes.
Talk to us about some of your educational offerings, because, and by the way, folks, this is your time to ask questions. We've got a lot of people saying hi and sending their love, but love to see your questions directly to Sam. Talk to us about some of your educational offerings and how people can learn more and see more, Sam Villa.
Well, I think what we have to understand, first of all, the social virtual world is really opened up in regards to education. And it's another resource for us to learn. But I want everybody out there to remember the computer can't touch your heart. It can inspire you, but it can't touch your heart. That's why you got to get to ISSE. You got to get to Naha. But what's so important is education is continuous. And so that Sam Villa, that's what we strive to do, is we continue to strive to give education in regards to inclusivity and diversity and all kinds. On Mannequin Mondays, that's when I come out on Mannequin Mondays and I just explore, give people things that work for today. I think, it's a different world today, and we've got to really talk about how do we reinvent ourselves? What opportunities do we have in front of ourselves, and look at the opportunities behind the chair and in communication skills and retail skills. And then that continues, obviously, with Redken. With my second family, Redken, I continue to do things with them. They have tons of education out there. Then we have a Tuesday, Transformation Tuesday, where I'll have some guests, like we just had Michelle O'Connor. And then my education director, Andrew Crothers, who is a life coach, does an awesome job on Wellness Wednesdays. And we really felt that was necessary to bring to the front in regards to really helping people with their mindset, really giving them a really good kind of spiritual voice, if you will. And there's nobody that's better than that than Andrew. Andrew's just really, really, really good in terms of where comes from and how he speaks. But that's some things coming up. And then don't forget the Sound-Centric Beauty Connects happening October 25th and 26th. I'm really looking forward to that event.
Wow. You are a busy man. I mean,
Keep them busy.
that's all part. It's something that when you were speaking and when I see all this beautiful branding, we talked about becoming an educator, but how do you build a brand? And this could relate to being an educator or a salon or being an editorial stylist. Any advice to helping people build their brand, which is self, not a bottle of something or a tool necessarily, but the brand of self?
Well, I really believe that when you choose to build a brand, just like if you choose to be a teacher, you choose once again to become a leader. And leadership is based on inspiration, not domination. So when you build a brand on inspiration, not that you don't want to dominate with followers, but because you want to inspire people. Then I think also it's about surrounding yourself with the right people, but it's about leading through cooperation and not intimidation. I think too many people out there, we tend to intimidate each other, whether we mean to or not. But I think it's all about, let's build a one community, a voice in a community that instills quality within the industry and that supports each other. This whole thing of brand supporting brands, artists supporting artists. I think when you build a brand, it's not about my brand against your brand. It's about what we're doing together to help the industry as a whole. So I think when you build a brand, keep those things in mind, and then always be, willing to not win, if you will, Michael. I think that's the best way I can say it. Be willing to learn more than you are willing to win. If you learn and apply the learning, the wins will come, the celebrations will come.
Yeah, so smart, so smart. So as you know, this is a first year for our Educator of the Year. I have no doubt you're a strong contender. But, I talk about, I hope at some point this award also goes to a woman who's inspired thousands of kids and, in a small town in middle America somewhere and just cranked out, inspired young individuals. What does Educator of the Year mean to you?
I love what we were talking about. And that was like hero.
CNN heroes.
Yes. That was the right button to push right there. I mean, I'm with you. How cool would it be, guys, people out there? How cool would it be if you had a beauty school teacher win this award? Not an icon, not somebody that's well known, but somebody that's really made heroes, somebody that's really made a school, and everybody that's graduated from that school has passed state board 100%, like a Roderick Samuels or something like that from Detroit Beauty Lab. But I mean, somebody that's really like that, I think that would be so cool. And I hope that day comes where it is like that, where it's like where the nominees are, it's more about how have they touched people's lives, not because of who they are and how many followers they have, but because of the way and how they touch people's lives and how they've grown their community. I think that would be super. That's how I see this award. I see that. I see it like that.
I like that vision. Amen to that. I think that is a very good way to look at it. And again, for those of you watching, if there is anyone who has inspired you, if you've taken a class and just been moved or had it change your life and help you turn a profit, help you turn your life around, educators really are motivators in so many ways. Love to see those people. So let's see. I have some. I it's like I never want this to stop, and I get in trouble for this.
We'll get in trouble together.
Good. So I have to know next for Sarah. What's cooking that we might be seeing down the road a little?
Well, oh wow. We're really riding this whole virtual wave in regards to virtual education. So we've got continuous shows going on that are virtual, which I'm really excited about. We're trying to elevate that game, and I think that's an important part. I also really hope that the shows come back and we're back into seeing each other and kind of face to face. But what's next for us is basically we're just going to continue to move forward in regards to kind of starting to expand with the time, expanding with what's happening around us. expanding with a mindset that where we want to go in and we want to kind of help people grow around us and help people. So we're doing that, continue to do that with our tools, continue to do that with our education and how we're reaching out through our social platforms. So I think that's what's next for us. We're just going to continue to ride this wave of opportunities, of discoveries.
When was your first, because I feel like you were at the beginning of Google. Like you Google a technique and there's Sam Villa doing it as the first three options. When did you, a lot of people are just now starting and maybe I can't imagine all the potholes you stepped in and traps and rabbit holes along the way. Anything you can share with us about as we're all joining the highway you paved?
Well, let me say this, Michael. For us, it was a simple decision. We're 10 years old now. And I remember when we opened up the company, we made a decision, myself and my co-founders, we made a decision. We're going to use social as a means of growing this brand. Why? Because we didn't have the funds to market and advertise through magazines and per se the norm. So we took the route of social platforms. And what we decided, I told my team, I said, look, DVDs are going to go out. They go, Sam, you love DVDs. That's what you want to do. I go, no, we're going to do sound bites now. They go, what are you talking about? I go, we're going to do educational sound bites. It's just going to be little tips and tricks, really fast little things that help them. And we're going to do tons of it. And we're going to load up our social platform with it. And then that's when it took off. When we started going that route, we saw that was a great way, and it just took off. It was one particular technique that went viral that just took off for the brand.
Which is the one?
It was the twist cutting technique. That whole twist cutting, right? Yeah. And that's what, Michael, I learned that in beauty school. That's right. In beauty school.
So we're both Californians, so
yes. So that was the point, was let's use that as a means of more Sam to more people. And the way that we were going to do that was through this whole social media. So yes, we stepped on a lot of potholes. Yes, we learned a lot. But I also believe that when the world changed, we were already doing it. We just upped our game and said, look, the show's not happening, but we're going to do it. And my team's like, what are you talking about? I said, we're going to do a virtual show for 2 days. We're going to pretend we're ABS Chicago and we're going to do, they're like, what? How are we going to do that? I go, we can figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that's what we've been doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. But I think that that's how the company grew. And then it just continues to be something where it's all about the education. I really believe education drives sales. That's what I believe.
Absolutely. And I have to say, as an educator myself and, a global creative director for a brand and someone who, educates at all levels, beginning to our most advanced team, nobody can walk and talk and chew gum like you. You just,
Michael,
you know how to do it. There's none of those awkward, empty spaces where we're not getting information anymore. Watch this man, folks. He knows how to fill those spaces like an art form. It's really good. So if you weren't doing this, what would you be? A pro golfer? What would you be?
Oh God, I wish I could be a pro golfer.
It would be pretty fun, right?
I'm still trying out for the senior tour. I would probably be coaching a sport of something. It would be either wrestling, track, football, volleyball. But I would be coaching. I would be in the secondary, the primary level of teaching, probably in school. That's what I'd probably be doing.
So coach, and we're thankful that you're coaching us every day.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere, by the way. People are you retiring? What are you talking about? No, I'm not going anywhere.
Not as long as there's a senior home that needs me somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Never know.
I'm right there with you. Hey, it would just be returning to my beginnings because when I was a kid, I was in a show choir where we would, to make money to go on tour, we would perform at convalescent hospitals. And we get like $150 to go sing them Christmas songs for like 30 minutes. I'll tell you, it changes your life because these people need love so desperately and they don't see enough young people. So folks it's not a good time right now, obviously, to go to these hospitals, but I just think it's very special to do that. I'm going to give you a final thought, but before I do that, and by the way, I'm enjoying this so much.
Thank
I
you.
I like to do a fun little question. So I'm going to ask you a very sweet question. You get to make. So let's hypothetically, let's say Ben and Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs or whoever your favorite brand is. They're launching a new ice cream, and they want to reach out to us, our community. By the way, there are enough stylists on the planet in the United States to elect a president, folks. So get out there and vote.
That's right.
You are given the honor to create your own ice cream flavor and name, and Ben and Jerry is going to put that out. What's that going to be, Sam?
Okay. Let's see. Ice cream. I love ice cream, so that's a good one. I love gelato.
Ooh,
So
Italian.
I love gelato. I love going to Rome. There's one favorite place I always go to. My gelato favorite. How about okay, I love gelato. Oh, okay. Gelate amo.
Okay. Like that.
And
And
now
what are we gonna
the flavor is cherry.
Okay.
It's a cherry flavored because it's red, full of love. And te amo means I love you. So gelate amo.
Andiamo with the cherry flavor.
Yeah.
I like it.
There you go.
Bellissimo.
Prego.
After our Italian wines, we'll go have an espresso. It'll be perfect.
Bene, tutto bene.
So I'd like you to, you're so good at this, but do you have any words of inspiration for us? I mean, these are obviously difficult times. We keep it positive here on Creative Conversations. To potential educators out there, just final thoughts to all stylists that you'd like to give us?
I just want everybody to remember that in these times, remember, price is what they pay, value is what they get. So I'm going to ask you to just push your pause button and ask yourself, what are they getting? What value are you giving them at the chair? I think we need to just pause and think about that. Price is what they pay, value is what they get. And a lot of people ask me, what do you mean by that? I want you to remember this. Value is knowledge. And in today's world, I really believe that you need to be YouTube behind the chair. Because if they ask, how do you get volume on fine hair? And we can't answer it, they're going to Google it, and up pops Sammy. Teach them how to do it.
I love it. You know what's funny? I almost have 1 million views on putting volume in the crown. That's
right?
Good.
It's true. It's true. Especially fine hair. How do you get the volume?
On fine thin volume in the crown.
Yep.
I'm not lying, folks, but I promise you, before you see me way down, you're going to see Sammy 100 times. Well, I thank you so much for this incredibly uplifting, positive message to everybody who's watching. Of course, be reposting this in our channels. Oh, we do have a question that came from Facebook. From Facebook. Yes, there is time. So any tips to motivate students? This comes from Gina, a big fan of yours.
Any tips for ask them? To motivate them. Oh, wow. I guess, because I know that students are probably the toughest in terms of school because they come with their own agenda. I mean, I think it's all in, I'm going to go back to the setup. It's about, understanding make them understand why they're there. Make them understand that you respect who they are and what they are in terms of style, because they're going to learn a certain style lesson of learning. But they have to understand that they have to be open, to what they're going to get. That's why they're there, is to learn. So if you can really get the reason and make them understand you're here to learn so that you can earn.
Yeah.
You have a choice. You can choose to be in who you are and doing what you are. And would you agree, if you're going to act that way, you're not learning? So I want you to remember, if you're not learning, the chances of you earning something are very, very slim. So I would take that approach and just wake them up. Yeah. Sometimes it just takes a moment of backing them up against a wall and saying, look, you're here for a reason. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So true. So true. Thank you again, Sam, for this incredible interview. We did well. We didn't go over the hour, so I know. And you are welcome back to this show anytime, sir, because you were just a maverick for education. And I personally believe that everything starts with education. We're so proud to have you as a Lifetime Achievement recipient.
Thank
We just know you'll do great things. So thank you. Folks, thanks for watching. Remember that we will be reposting this probeauty.org/Naha. For those of you attending here, you'll already be able to get the recorded copy of it. Don't forget, makeup is important to your shoots. We have the award-winning David Manorich, and he's done everything. I think he was on like Michelle's last shoot and everything. He's a talented man. He will be joining us on October 7th. Every 2 weeks, a fireside chat without the fire because I'm in California. With industry icons. Also, things that Sam has mentioned, anything pertinent, we put that in our resources page. It's like a FAQ page of what we've chatted about with our guests, and that will be posted at probeauty.org/Naha under Creative Conversations. Thank you so much again, Sam. Thank you to everyone who's watching, both at PBA and Facebook. We look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, Sam. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.